Hey, gang, it is Roxane, your coach, giving you that was little Mabel Bell, here with a little tip on assumptions, which we all need to bone up on. Here are some facts that we may not remember from real estate school. Any government loan, FHA, VA, or USDA loan, is assumable. Now, they're qualified assumptions, meaning that the borrower, the buyer, has to qualify fully with the existing lender. So this is not a deal where you go to your lender and say, hey, help my buyer in assuming a Bank of America loan that Mr. and Mrs. Seller over here own. The buyer has to actually go to the seller's lender. They all have assumption departments. They qualify the way they would qualify for any other normal new loan with a loan application and tax returns and W-2s and bank statements, all the stuff you'd normally use to apply for a loan, but you're qualifying through the existing servicer. The downside to that is that all of these servicers have loan assumption departments staffed by whatever 12-year-old is exaggerating, whatever 12-year-old is on a phone bank somewhere in the Midwest. They usually have online application portals, and you have to upload documents, and then they send them to the wrong department or don't understand them. So what would normally be a 30-day process of getting a new loan can well nudge up into 60, perhaps a little bit more days in order to assume the loan. This is why we would consider doing it, however. A loan assumption, how it works is that you are assuming the existing loan at its existing terms, which if we look at 2019, 20, early part of 21, early part of 22 was in some cases sub 3% interest rates, right? So I'm going to share a screen here and show you just a couple of examples. In this case, we've got a loan assumption. Let's look at two examples here, or three examples here. So on a $600,000 house where the loan amount on the existing loan is $480,000 and the rate is 3.25%, you assume the existing loan at its existing terms and balance, and the difference between that loan amount and the purchase price you have to bring in cash. Right, so for this purpose, we've compared it to a conventional 20% down loan because the numbers are pretty close that way, right? And in this case, if you had a $600,000 loan, new loan, with a $480,000 loan amount, same exact loan amount as the assumption potential, at 6.5% interest, in that case, bringing $130,000 down, the difference in payment, the assumption is $3,000 and some change. The conventional loan is $3,500 and some change. We're looking at more than a $500 a month difference in the payments for using this assumption. Let's say, however, somebody doesn't have a full 20% down on that. There are absolutely lenders out there that'll give you a 10% second. And even at today's rates, by the time you combined that 3.25% rate and the higher rate on the second mortgage, you'd have a blended rate of 3.6, 3.7%. Even with that, with a higher loan amount of $534 versus $480, that person would be getting into the property with only $68,000 down and some change, and the payment that's $200 a month lower than what you could get on the open lending market with a conventional loan. There are a few other facts that are important to know about assumptions. One is that you don't have to be a first-time home buyer to assume any of these loans, like an FHA loan. And on a VA loan, you do not have to be a veteran in order to assume that VA loan. Now, the catch there is if a non-veteran assumes a VA loan, then the existing veteran whose loan is being assumed loses their VA eligibility, whatever portion of it was still in that loan. But for all intents and purposes, they lose that eligibility for their certificate of eligibility for a VA loan. There are some vets who love that VA eligibility. It's a badge of that they've earned. However, in real practical terms, once somebody has used a VA loan eligibility to get into a property the first time, they get an interest rate advantage when they do that, and they have a very low, if any, down payment. But they also have a really high origination fee, VA funding fee. Sometimes it's up to 3%. Right? So on a $600,000 house, that could be $18,000 of funding fee that's rolled into the loan for them. So on their second or third or fourth house, a lot of veterans end up using a conventional loan anyway because they're pulling the equity out of that sale that they just made, and it helps them to avoid that 2-3% in closing costs with the funding fee. So bone up on this. If you understand about assumptions, it absolutely gives you a foot up with your sellers, right? And may give you a real potential strategy to use with your buyers. Your sellers, I will not represent to them that they're going to get more money, right? Because I don't want to do anything to create expectations in their minds right now that their house is going to be worth more than it is. But how I explain it is, if a buyer can come to your home and buy it at your interest rate, and if they were looking at the same exact house, same exact floor plan next door, and they had to use a new loan to get that property, yours could be at $500 lower a month payment. Even if that doesn't make your house worth more than your neighbor's house, it absolutely means that buyer is going to look at your house before the other one, and they may in fact view that as more valuable. So that is our tip for the day. Go out and learn about assumptions. It gives you a great opportunity on the listing side, gives you a great opportunity on the buyer side.